Hi friends, this is Mahavir Singh. Today I'm going to talk about business development life cycle and the system development life cycle. So I'll like to welcome you everyone a video regarding a business development life cycle and the system development life cycle. This will help the IT businesses and maybe the other businesses. It will help to understand about the system resources and the different cycles and the different departments, how to manage the different departments for the project managers and for the CEO and the CXO. So I hope this video will help everyone a lot. I've done Master of Technology in Computer Science Engineering from India, and I have like 8 to 10 years experience working with. I have like 8 to 10 experience working with software company, and I'm a corporate trainer. So yeah, please we'll start with a slideshow. So if we want to start a business, we need to give a hard kick, or maybe we call it as a kickstart. So we generally, the startup starts with a kickstart these days. We start from a small companies. I think there are like 5 to 7,000 startups in India, and there are like 25,000 startups in the American continent. So if you see the number of startups in the different countries, there is a chart available in the Google. If you search like startups all over the world or in the popular cities, you'll get to know the graph about the startups in the different countries and all. So I think business kickstarts is very helpful for a startup level of company, which needs, definitely every company needs a good fund and depends on the company fundings. So that how big startup we can be so called as like. Yeah. So I'm going to take an example of a new product and a new technology which is like very emerging, and this is getting successful because of example which had already been set in form of a Bitcoin. So Bitcoin falls in the financial exchange and the fintech. So Bitcoin is basically a cryptocurrency. So we are going to take an example that, for example, we are forming a IC or blockchain startup. So in that case, or any particular blockchain company startup, in that case, what are the requirements and everything like. So first, I'm not going to show this video. You can search how does a blockchain work, simply explained. So you'll get to know about the blockchain in detail from the YouTube itself. It's very interesting video. Please have a look before I explain all this, because somewhere I'm going to sing the product and explain about the business development lifecycle. So new employee orientation, getting to know your new role. So whenever we get engaged with a new business or the new system, we definitely need to get into the role or have a deep dive into the new role. So it's definitely everyone needs a research on the product. Then we need to have the vision if the product is not ready, basically, like. So I think either the vision or the research or the deep dive into the product is very important for new employee orientation. So first we need to be aware about the new role. We need to be familiarized with your new environment. It can be a startup environment. It can be a company who had been amalgamated, or who amalgamated means a merger. In recent days, we had seen many of the companies like Yahoo had been amalgamated with a Verizon incorporation. Like, so there are many mergers which are coming these days. So we can take any of the examples. So even for the Yahoo employee, they are working with the same product since like many years. It's the oldest IT company, maybe IT startup, and they need to get aware of the Verizon incorporation also, even in case of the merging, the company mergers. Like, so meeting the new colleagues. For example, I came to the Vietnam. This is my like second country abroad. I came to Vietnam. It's in Asia Pacific. It's very wonderful. It's a wonderful country. So we need to understand the country situation. We need to understand the country. It might happen that a country might be very good in the development skills and they might be very good in the technical skills. But sometimes people coming from different places, there is definitely a language issues. Like, for example, being the Indian, my actions might appear more like English actions. In India, our national language is Hindi, and whenever I try to speak, so or maybe my few of my friends try to speak in English, so their action might be more appearing like a English, we call it as. So Vietnamese actions might be more like a Winglish because it's Vietnamese and English. It comes as Winglish, like. So it depends. That it depends. There is definitely a language barrier issues for a employee coming from a different country or even for a different country, because IT is like a village of the world where we cannot where we cannot think of the one language. We need to think of the outsourcing the business. We need to think of, even as when we think of even as selling a product, we need the English or the international communication skills, where we try to connect with the different countries, with the different friends sitting in the IT companies or in the product market abroad, basically, or the offshores. So this is the new employee orientation. Now, if we talk about the system development life cycle or the business software development life cycle or the business development life cycle, if we talk about the big picture or the larger view of the software development life cycle, like definitely, if you want to form a product, for example, I want to form a blockchain startup company, then in that case, first I need to have the complete set of paths. I need to have the complete steps regarding a blockchain startup. So what can I do in this case? Like, first I will try to get some advisors from angel list, or maybe I'll be trying to ask for the fund depending on my past portfolios which I had built and the successes which I had got on my past portfolios, and I'll be asking for the fundings. I'll be showing some proof of concepts that this much of the test case is ready to show that we are capable to build the whole blockchain product, the whole blockchain exchange market, basically. Or, for example, we are building an e-commerce website. In that case, also, it's like there is a shop who wants to sell a mobiles. Then, for mobile shops, they need to be well versed. They need to, we can completely get aware of the manual systems. So we need to study the manual systems, and if there is any particular customized requirement, depending on the current machineries and the printers and scanners, whichever they are holding. So depending on them, we can give them the customized solutions, that because every time, in most of the cases, the requirement comes because there is a customization requirement. So it depends that how ready-made or the awareness is already there in the market for the same product requirement. So it definitely depends on it. Like, uh, so requirement analysis is most important. I think out of it requires finalizing. I think I've seen even for a big product or a small product, it at least take 1 month to 3 months. Sometimes it's 6 months or one year also goes into the requirement analysis itself. It definitely starts with collecting all the data, all the awareness of all the manual system, that how particular company, how many departments. If it's a hotel reservation booking engine, we need to aware of a different department in the hotel industry itself or the hospitality industry itself. Like, we need to aware of the kitchen, we need to aware of the bar, we need to aware of the restaurant management, we need to aware of the hotel room service, we need to aware of the bartender, we need to aware of the steward, we need to aware of the commie 1, commie 2, commie 3, chef, head chef, cook. These are the different positions in the kitchen of a particular domain so-called from a hotel industry. So when we plan to build a hotel reservation booking engine like booking.com or the Make My Trip or priceline.com, and there are many websites basically which is dealing in the hotel reservation booking engine. We need to be well versed with the domain knowledge and the customized requirement solution which we can give and show in requirement analysis itself. So once we had gathered all the data aware of the whole manual system, we need to shortlist the data. And once we had shortlisted this data, the next thing comes. We have the data. We have the awareness of the requirement. We have that what is available as a ready-made solution and the tailored solution. So when we can build the presentation that this is what we are trying to build, we can show them the vision. And for the design, that definitely I think this is the most important. The UX, user experience, is the most important. I think UX is just like a director, whether it's in the form of a PPT or we are using a software like UVision, where we can highlight regarding where we can definitely highlight regarding the number of pages which will be delivered in the product. So for example, if we want to build a software as a service for a Samsung company, then in that case we might require 1,000-page ERP, 1,000-page ERP software. So we definitely need to finalize the UX first, and I think that UX is going to provide us the direction in technical terms. Definitely there should be some product director or the director who might be behind some customization after the finalization and the estimation. And so before the design also, like the design and the estimation generally goes parallelly, like requirement analysis and the POC, that's called proof of concepts, goes parallelly, where we give the test and we prove the capability. On that basis we get a product which we are going to build for a particular company or the product director basically. So once this is done, then we shift to the design, and design is the place from where the whole project might get finalized. I'd seen like most of companies even pay for the test case and for the POCs, like, and because generally company wants to be, if it's a very important product, company will give the POC the requirement to 3-4 companies at the same time, or maybe a 1 or 2 company at the same time, and out of this they will finalize that whoever gives the better solution, they will shift to that particular POCs, and depending on the company portfolio and how the big company and the stability within the company whom they are willing to give it. So that's how generally the things happens in the development industry. Like, so next is the design. Like, it's starts with the UX, will be behind the user experience, a complete PPTs, and also the .html file. So when we have the .html file in form of div, table, tr, tds, I think, and the navigations, once we have this in HTML5 or the old HTML version also, then I think there is like very less work is required in the form of a direction. Our directions are ready. The whole picture is like crystal clear picture. So I think the UX designs is very important. Now we come to the development. When we talk about the development, before the development there is a estimation Excel sheet which needs to be finalized, like the whole estimation of the product with a timeline sheet needs to be finalized, that this particular functionality building or a UX page building is having this number of R&D time requirement and coding logic inputting requirement. So depending on that, it will be decided like how much what kind of estimation needs to be finalized. Like, so design and estimation again runs parallelly, and once this is done, then if the product director wants to change, then they can only change them, give the minor changes if they are having a good relation. Otherwise, there is a requirement of the re-estimation that if someone, product director, asks for the bit of the major changes or some additional functionalities, then depend that company can ask for the more money from the product director of the company with whom they are dealing, basically. So once this parallel design and the estimation goes, then it comes to the development. And in the development, when we talk about the development, like, it's definitely comes to the dynamism. Uh, Design is more towards the static files, like .html is the static files. There's nothing functional. It's just a UX, user experience, graphic designings, photos, and everything is ready. And designs and the overview and the vision and the looks and the feels is clear in the form of a designs, and even the HTML is clear, index file is ready, how we are going to start. And not only this, in the design itself, the whole flow is also visible. Like if we click on the particular buttons or the links, it will show the whole site maps, basically. So site maps also get ready in the designs. And in design, there's very other important things, like design starts with a data dictionary, which is in form of, first we need to, even at the back end needs to get ready in the designs, like data dictionary. There are PHP MyAdmin tool and the MS SQL, the Visual. We can get the database solution and the database solution architecting within the design itself. We can give that, basically. So once this is ready, once the design is ready, then data dictionary is ready. Then we shift to the diagram. It's called entity relationship diagram. And once the entity relationship diagram is ready, then we shift to the data flow diagram. And once the data flow diagram is ready, which gives the clear picture of the flow requirements of the whole particular product or the project, I think after that the form designs comes, which makes us understand the functionality. It's not the core functionality or the logic inputted, but it will definitely show how it can be functional, or the vision about the functionality working, and designs, functional designs we call it as. So this all falls in the design, and it goes parallel with the estimation. Once the estimation is done, after the UX designs, generally the estimation is done. Once this is done, we start building DFD, or sometimes the company demands to show the DFD and all in the planning phase itself. So planning, design all goes parallelly, basically. Final planning we call it as, because there are two phases of planning. One is initial level of planning, and other is release of the planning phase, basically. So next step is development, where actually we are going to start the coding and we are going to architect the project first. So half architect, we can say it's already done, because like we know the flow and everything, and the next architect will be more in form of a coding architect. Like coding architect, for example, we are going to decide, like for example, if it's a SaaS, software as a service, we are going to decide in this, like which particular skill sets we are going to input, and we can put a write-ups that how this particular form functions, like geolocation, for example, is there. Then what kind of geolocation, for example, there is a input field called as auto detect country or the location. So it can auto detect country and location, and automatically the GPS will see the longitude, latitude, and it will auto select the current longitude, latitude where you are. Once you give the permission through the Google Chrome, generally it pops up like allow the location access and all. So once this is done, like then this needs a clarification in the architect document. Like, so definitely there is architect SAD, we call it as system analysis and designing. technical documentation. It's basically like, so once the SAD is ready, we shift to the development side, where we are actually going to start coding. And before this we had decided like, we are going to, for example, for a software as a service for a Samsung company, definitely a big companies like a Samsung or LG, or they will be definitely requiring to maintain their whole resources. They will be definitely requiring to maintain their own resources like softwares and documentations, and all this can be handled using software as a service, as a solution I'm talking about. Like, so if we plan to build such kind of softwares, in this case, like, we can think of that UX is already ready in form of a .html file, and we just need, definitely will be requiring a bootstrap solution if it's a web, and mobile and the different devices and application and everything. Like, so we need some unified form of platform solution. I think Angular 5 and the React.js are the very good solution in this case. Like, so it's very fast as a front end framework. So generally, I've seen there's only framework like Laravel which can suffice front end, back end, middleware, and sometimes there are different frameworks. But if you are using a different frameworks, like for the front end, if you are using a different framework, and for the back end, if we are using a different framework, then we will require the RESTful service. Like, so for example, if we, I think that's very secure, like, and it's very fast also, because it directly uses the hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP protocol, which comes in the presentation layer and the application layer of the whole networking 7 steps diagram. So in that case, like, Angular 5 can be the front end. There will be the UI and the UX, which is already ready from the design state, given by the product director, approved by the product director. And once this is there, we will just take one particular file out of the 1,000-page requirements, and definitely the whole index and the whole static files and the flows of the files, every whole website is there and ready, and might be put and hosted on some test servers, like, so, or the production server also. Like, so once this is done, what part left in the development is, we need to put coding. Before this, we were talking about the architect. I think Angular 5, for example, we take Angular 5 as the front end framework. Maybe the React is more faster than the Angular 5, but Angular 5, regarding the organization and all, it's actually a framework. React.js may be still a library. There are many near to framework solution available in form of libraries, but I think Angular 5 is a really, it can be so called as a good front end framework. Or the Cake PHP, or maybe a Laravel, as per the Gantt chart. Whenever we talk about the PHP framework, Laravel is the best framework. And I don't think like people will like to use some customized codings, or the customizing a framework using a object-oriented programming PHP. I think it gets a bit difficult, but definitely if it's a very big product, that can also be a solution, that we can customize our own framework or build our own framework from a PHP skill sets or the Python skill set. If it's a storage domain, we can also use the Python. And if it's a banking kind of software where the security is a concern, and we are planning to boot the whole software from a pen drive, and a cross-platform solution, I think banking, Java is also the good platform, or the server skills, which we can server script, which can be utilized. Like, but in our case, says, I think Angular 5, for example, we are taking the Angular 5 as the skill set for the front end engineer, for the front end requirement. There is no need of the middleware if we are planning to use a RESTful service. So when we talk about the backend, backend can be done using a Java Spring Boot REST API. Java Spring Boot REST API is the backend framework, and we can use MariaDB or the MySQL. MariaDB is just a fork of the MySQL basically. So we have the architect ready now basically. So now once the architect is ready, and we know that .html with DHTML, CSS, CSS3 is our UI side. UX is ready in form of given by the UX approval, approved by the UX director, product director. We have the UX ready, UI ready. Then comes as the architect or the solution architect role, where I told you that Angular 5 we are planning to build a SaaS software as a service for Samsung company using Angular 5. HTML, we just need to put it in a folder. Angular 5 have a very nice system where it allows to put it in the folders in form of a components. It have the components in the latest versions. Previously, it was an MVC. Now it's more towards an MVVM framework. Like MVC is a model view controller. Model is more like cooking something, and view is the representation of the data, and controller is the one who interface between the cook and the presentation of in form of HTML file. But when we talk about the MVVM, or here it's more a component who's going to control the data, and definitely there is always a model who is going to who is like a kitchen in a Angular 5 basically, where we can cook something and we can change the format of the data. We can change, for example, data typings and all can be very well handled by the modelings. So we decide HTML, DHTML, CSS, CSS3. Angular 5 is an auto bootstrapping, so maybe bootstrapping, hard bootstrapping is not required. That can be handled by Angular 5 front-end framework itself. Backend, we decide Java Spring Boot API, and there's no middleware because we are using a RESTful service in Spring Boot API. And database, we decide to be used as MariaDB, and we'll be using a software like MS SQL, who can handle the whole databasing and everything. So this is about the solution architect and the development, which goes parallelly. I think architect, once it's done, of like 10-15 modules, 2 or 5 modules is developed for such a big project. It might be having a 20 modules, having 1,000 page, or maybe so. Very less role is required in the development. It's just like putting a logic for a functional requirements at a particular page levels, and so that's what left in the development once the architecting and solution architecting is done. And what else we can say in the development and the coding? I told you it goes, it's development, coding, functional, it goes parallelly. Sometimes unit testings goes parallelly with the testings, and release of the version goes after the testings, like version 1. And there is a minor version like 1.x.x. If we see the 1.x.y, for example, so y is the basically is released in a week time or maybe a month time, and x is released in like a 1 month time, and one, when we say 1 to 2 is the major version, so it definitely takes times to release, like maybe 6 months or a year. Like Angular 4 to 5 took like 6 months, and every 6 months they are releasing the new version. That directly jump from 2 to 4. Like there is no Angular 3 basically, so it's the similar story in form of a version release. So this can be controlled by the softwares like GitHub or the S3 from Amazon, and documentations and all this can be handled by different softwares. There are many softwares available. SVN, source version, yeah, so it can be handled by SVN. And once this development and testing is finished, then we comes to the implementation, uh, where the production server requirement and all this can be delivered. Like, so yeah, this is all about the software development cycle. I hope you might have enjoyed with me about the software development cycle. This is the Bitcoin transaction life cycle. So I hope you can have a close watch and look over the Bitcoin transaction life cycle. Actually, I'm not focusing on explaining the product requirement here. I'm more focused in to make it in a general, to give the generalized explanation on the business development cycle or the system development life cycle, basically. So yeah, you all are welcome. We are going to now shift to the big picture, where we are going to more talk about the business rather than the software development life cycle or the architecting solutions and all. So yeah, what we need, actually, we need to be familiarized yourself with your new targets. So we don't have the targets. If we are a startup, then it's just like a goalless body or the goalless system. So we definitely require a target. We need to explore our new environments. We need to be open to meet as much as the new businesses, but we should know from where we can meet this new businesses. So further, we are going to talk about the marketing, sourcing, which is one of the most important in businesses, because when we say CEO is from the technical side, then I think it cannot be a success, because generally I've seen like CEO coming from the sales field gets more success and the company gets better exposures. Like, so marketing, press release and publication, and the human resources are a part of a L&D, where even the sales people needs to get trained. Like Uber driver also needs to be trained about the Uber applications. Whenever they get a job, they get kits in form of a helmet for them and for the customer, and they get a dress code, and they needs to be aware of the system application and the driver side application of Uber usage. And so yeah, there are many things in form of a marketing and press release and publication and the human resource, which we are going to talk further. Like yeah, we are seeing a nice beautiful lady talking with a confident human resource department. Seems like a human resource department. Like, I'll ask them if they are from which department. Yeah. So management, CXOs, CEO, COO, CFO, that's a charter accountants, chief finance officers, all comes under the management. And sometimes I had seen that these are the well-educated people are part of the management, or sometimes management don't take interest. Then CEO needs to get into the action. Like CEO role gets very important, and CEO is definitely a part of the management. CEO can direct the whole management and the directors, and maybe the managing directors. So it depends sometimes. MD as a MD itself is the CEO, and sometimes like managing director puts the final decisions on the CEO, because that's a chief executive officer. So, uh, development team. Yeah, team is also the core important requirement. We already had a nice discussion on the same. Marketing, we are going to talk here further. So whenever we talk about the marketing, what comes first? Why we do the marketing? What's the purpose of the marketing? The purpose is to grow the business. The purpose is about the business development. It's about the company profiling. We can't grow, we can't go to the next step even when we don't have the business development to solve. So company profiling, funding, getting investors is the most important thing. There is on-site profiling and the off-site profiling. On-site profiling is in the form of the company website itself. Like we can see that Google is a very big product. Like So it's have their own website, like it has their own explanations, like. So branding, company profiling goes together. Branding can be done in form of on-site. At the same time, we require the search engine optimization. We require the powerful search engine optimization solution. Once we build the website and publish the website, and if our SEO is not strong, then our branding can't be strong. Branding can be done in form of, if we are planning to target a local market, I think SEO is still not a good solution. There can be a word-to-word solution. For example, if it's a Uber service which had launched in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, or Singapore, then I think they can give a free rides for 10 days or 30 days to spread them mouth of word, because it's definitely a powerful product that once the 10 people will use, they will definitely tell the 100 different peoples. 10 will tell other, one will, out of 10, one will tell other 10 people. So I think this kind of messages, if we are targeting the local market, gets very important. So company profiling, funding, getting investors. Now, from where we can get the investors? I think there are many people who just are very smart people who just focus on gathering the money, and I think they are the top people. Like, not a people who are passionate and who build things of the R&Ds, and I think they are struggling. They live in a stress, but they are the actual people who do something and who do some research and who do some innovation. They are so-called innovation and research-oriented people. But on top of this, if we talk about the money, then I think there are many people in a company, maybe a business development team, who are just keen and focusing on finding the investors, like, or who are focused on growing the shares, getting the shares, shareholders, and growing the share markets, or growing the values of the company, basically. Like, so if it's IT, I think angel investors is a good source, seed investors, venture capital, Sourceforge, and even direct contacts and past contacts, LinkedIn. Like, I've seen many business development executives who have a network of like 20,000 employees. I think these are definitely like a good solution. And if we talk about the pitching, it gets very important. If we have the whole big list of investors, and if we are not good in the communication skills, and if we don't have the strong appearance and the body language, then pitching gets down, basically. So pitching is shown in the form of a client communications, how strong we can communicate with the clients, and how we are going to handle the business dealings. Like, some people have a very good client communication, but sometimes it happens they are not well backed up by their managing director, or then sometimes managing director plans to come in the action together, but it should be well synced, like, otherwise, or the person, like a business development, should given a proper authority for a particular business dealing. And once the dealing is done, then quotation sheet comes, where we are going to plan a quotation for a particular, or investors will ask for that, please quote us. So we will be giving them the quotation sheet. Like, here it's one of the example of sourcing Excel sheet. We can see, like, we can import, export in our own CRM. There is definitely a CRM solution available, third-party solution available, which we can integrate with our own websites. Like, so this is like a whole big list of the good company CEOs and board line numbers. So we can update the status in our own CRM if we are planning to integrate the CRM in our own websites and all that. And yeah, this is the US outsourcers. This is the one examples I am giving you. Now, what's the next thing which we can do for operating a business? We have the leads. Like, Leads can be collected from many sources. There are n number of sources like angel investors, rocket reach for the email ID. You can see the nice icon in form of a rocket reach, which I'm using here. I can connect with Microsoft CEO or Microsoft Managing Director, because everyone have the profile in LinkedIn. It have some nice sync with many of the websites, many of the good uh, LinkedIn or and Facebook and many companies where it extracts the email ID. I think that's the best way to operate the business mailers. Like when we talk about the business mailings, it can be B2BL. I'm talking about business to business product, business to product, because blockchain is a product. So it's business to product. This is one example. A theme, blockchain is our theme of this, using which I'm trying to explain the whole business development lifecycle. It can be business to business, like Samsung is approaching LG company, and or it can be like a Samsung is approaching Amazon Web Services for their networking solution and hosting requirements, like a business to market. Branding, we can brand first, and once it's branded, we just need to think of the branding basically. Business to technology, PPP is also one of the business to technology. First we will talk about, for example, Samsung is talking about their new technology and they are advertising. So everyone, entrepreneur or the business and the government, will start approaching because it's a new innovation. So I think that's also one of the best way to go in the market, like business to technology delivery. We don't need to go anywhere because we have the unique technology. Like a public-private partnership, this is very popular in countries like large countries like China, India, and Brazil. And public is a population, private is a company, partnerships is with government. So when we say public, definitely a government needs to come in the role. So generally there are one or two private companies who's feeling a tender with the government and serving the public for the public requirements. Basically is called the public-private partnerships. B2L, business to learning, is also the important solutions, and sometimes we have some requirements in form of we are demanding that we need the learning solutions, because like a startup of 20 or 100 employees or 1,000 employees cannot build their own L&D sometimes. So we need to make a tie up with the learning schools and the colleges and the learning institutions, where we get the B2L basically. Like, yeah. We need to build the proposals definitely before mailings. When we put a mailer, business mailer to different sources, which we already discussed, then we will get a reply, please forward your proposals. So proposals can be in form of a business proposal, which belongs to our company and the product. Like, and sometimes it happens that there is a particular client which we are targeting, then we need to make the changes in our business proposal and deliver it to the particular client, depending on their customized product requirement and the solutions. Like, and it can be a project proposal also. Like, yeah. So how to make a business relationship management? A business development executive, CEO, and the CTOs together needs to meet the different CEOs of the companies who are ready in the investment and ready in the share holding of our company in the market. Like, so we need to meet the CEOs, and some disbursement is required in form of shareholding of in our company or for the investment. Then definitely CFOs gets in the role. I had seen in the last meeting with the CEOs that CFOs CEO tell the CFOs to do the disbursement and how financially, in technical financial terms it's possible. Like CTOs are the one where we discuss the products regarding our products and the strength of the products, and CTOs is the one who finalize in form of a technicality, and so this all needs to be synced when we are sitting in the meeting for finalizations, basically. So meeting project managers when we are working in offshore or the outsourcing solutions, then project managers roles gets important. Organizing blockchain and finance domain events, like there are many. We can conduct the webinars, we can put it in the YouTube, we can go live in the YouTube, we can do the live seminar in a particular big hall in a particular country and place. Like if we are planning to establish our product in London, then we need to go to London with 5 to 10 members team and make a big event using the digital technologies. I think this is a nice way of business relationship management. Like press release and the publications is one of, again, an important department where we had put at the white paper before starting any steps. Before even first for starting a company, we need to write a white papers, and we need to maintain the version control of the white papers, release management, and SVN subversion controls, and we can put our code in the GitHub, and the whole project showcase can be put in a Sourceforge, and many international journals like Medium, and there are many actually. I'm not a good person to talk about that. Blockchain is the product of a theme of our presentation, basically. Brochures, two folds. Brochures can be of two folds, three folds. This is more from a press release and publications, which is generally synced for marketing purpose, and how we are going to go in the TV or the different channels, basically. To go, there can be a hand-to-hand channels where we can distribute using a marketing person, marketing executive, or the field worker who's going to talk about and present our brochures. So it can be twofold, threefold distribution channels like finance, market, insurance, law, legal, contract forms. If it's a financial exchange like blockchain, then definitely we can publish it in the finance, market, insurance. When we say blockchain is actually the reverse finance, it's about decentralization. There is nothing the central authority, like a bank is a central authority, where bank gets aware about the transaction from source to destination. Like I want to transfer 10,000 $10,000 to my friend sitting in London, then a particular bank like HSBC and Standard Chartered will get aware of the transaction which you are making. So banking is a central authority, and when we talk about the blockchain, it's about the decentralization. There's no as such central authority, basically, and it's encrypted and secure, very secured. Like it cannot be decrypted. The cost is so high that nobody can afford, basically. Like it's called mining concept in the blockchain. Like so, distribution channels for the blockchain can be finance, market, insurance, law, legal, and contract forms like escrow, smart contracts, and smart contracts is also part of the blockchain. Like catalogs, this is the different form of a brochure. Business cards, we can ask the marketing person and the graphic designer to make a business card for the marketing team mainly, or sometimes even for the developers. Like big companies, developers have the card, basically. Managing director, CEO, team manager, project leader, team leader, senior software engineer, graphic designer, web designers. So these are the resources within the company, basically. We can go for the t-shirts and the head caps, and two in hen team, one who goes to company to represents basically. Press releases, newspaper, YouTube media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Telegram. I think these are the very important channels which helps a lot for in form of a offsite search engine optimization. It's kind of a WULA, where we get a visualization about our whole product. So these are the best mediums which helps to visualize about our company, startup, and the product basically. Job portals, we can plan to hire the developer and different level of people from a Vietnam Works, itviec, topdev, if it's a country like Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City. Human resource, it's profit and P&L, fund flow, break-even chart. I will, before profit and loss, P&L is a statement. I'm well aware of this, fortunately. Fund flow statement and break-even chart, I'll talk more about it. Like, it's a point where a company reaches a form of a stability where we know the further loss had stopped and the company and the startup had started gaining. It's called a break-even point in the break-even chart. So, but it depends on the profit and loss and the fund flow statement awareness. Employee salary sheets, maintenance. This is more from a human resource department. Employee management, like we definitely need to maintain contact details, document folder, grievance readdressing. Sometimes there are many complaints from different employees, and so yeah, this all gets more. This all also gets important. Like management and its functions includes board members, managing directors, CEO, presidents, directors, and development team. These are the list of development teams we can see, and learning, research and development, online video sites like Vimeo, YouTube, Udemy, JawBrains, Blockcakes. Generally, I had been to the sites for the learning. Is a very good source when we are planning to start a new product. Then I think we can plan to give a visualized form of techniques for 15 days or 1 month. This is a system context. We can see that working toward mastery, we definitely needs to familiarize, get experience, and become a master or achieve the mastery. A master cannot become a master without achieving mastery in particular skills or the product knowledge. So this is all. Doing your best work. I hope you all can do your best work. You can work from home. When we are planning for an innovative product or the innovative company, it gets important to give the flexibility, but depends on the individual that whether the flexibility can be given. Because I had heard that 10 to 15 years back, IBM was one of a company who provided a solution to the employee in form of work from home. So I think that's an innovative solution where researchers can work from home. Working offsite, remote project management, technology requirements. Case study is very important. For example, KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, MDs, CEOs are the Jeremy. We need to follow some person, maybe Apple CEO or the managing director or the Google CEO or managing director or Facebook CEO or managing director. We need to have the case study depending on the suitability of the product which we are planning to build and launch in the market. I hope you can search on the YouTube more about this. So this is our summary which we had gone through. Resources we can see. So that's it. If you have any questions, I'll be publishing this soon on the YouTube. I hope you can soon contact me, put a questions in form of a comments. I hope you will like this video a lot. Thanks a lot from Mahavir Singh. Thank you very much. Feel free to contact me. I'll put it in a description where you can contact me if you like the video regarding the project management, business development lifecycle, and the system development lifecycle, and the big picture which I've tried my best to deliver in front of everyone. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.